Hey there, Brittany Collin with Holistic Nurse Coaches. I wanted to get on here today and talk to you about why it can be so hard to make changes in our life and why we resist change even though we really want to change. I don't know about you, but there was a time in my life where I wanted anything to really change my ways. I was doing the same crazy things weekend after weekend, year after year, and I wanted to change. I'll start on Monday, I'll make the change on Monday at the first of the month, and yet I would find myself in the same patterns, the same kind of relationships, the same unhealthy habits over and over and over again. And really what had me get into coaching and become a coach was when I, with the support and love of coaching, transformational training, holistic wellness, community, my life dramatically changed for the better. So here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with you. If you're like, I keep trying to change and I can't change, there's nothing wrong with you. I want to talk to you today about how we're wired so that you have a better understanding so that you can really create the change that you want to for yourself if that's the choice you decide to make. We are wired for survival. We are wired for safety. And sometimes what seems like keeping us safe or trying to stay alive could be, I can't go to the grocery store right now. It could literally feel like death if you're somebody who doesn't get out and socialize much, or you don't get out of the house, right? Getting out and being in a public situation can literally feel like death. So it's important that we show ourselves just out of the comfort zone that we're not going to die from this thing. So I'm going to run through some reasons why we resist change. One is, like I said, our brains are wired for efficiency. It wants to keep us safe. It wants to keep us in our comfort zone. It wants to keep us status quo. People have clients who initially when we start working together will say they're lazy. They're not. They're just falling into what their brain is asking of them, and that is to stay nice and cozy in their little beds or in their home, or even sometimes it has us stay in situations that are not the best for us because they're familiar. It seems somehow easier. The next thing is that there's fear of the unknown. So we like certainty as human beings, most of us. We just really want a sense of certainty, a sense of I can predict what's going to happen. I like to say it's like a false sense of control and safety, right? Because honestly, there's so many things out of our control and we cannot possibly be prepared for all things. But it can give us the illusion of safety, the illusion of control. And there's parts of us that are terrified of uncertainty. So even if our current situation feels, let's say, we know it's not the best for us. Let's say if we're in a relationship where there's a lot of tension and the person treats us really poorly and we just don't get along. We know that this relationship's been going on for way too long and yet we haven't done anything to change it. They haven't done anything to change it. And we will actually sometimes stay in that relationship because it's been a certain person in our life, for the sense of security, rather to have somebody than to go into the unknown of not having anybody. I know you've probably heard this about kids, like they'll go back to if they get in foster care, so often they want to go back to their parent, even if their parent was extremely abusive, because of the familiarity. Plus it's the parent, and we have such a immensely strong bond to our parents, but it's also partially because of the way we're wired. It feels certain. The next thing is that emotional blocks and unresolved beliefs. We all have received conditioning from childhood, from schooling, from society. That's the society we live in, right? There's no bad or wrong to that, but that's the way it is. And we've also developed beliefs about ourselves based on things that have happened in our life, things that we've done, things that we haven't done. And we believe our beliefs a lot of times. And so what can we do? We can start to question our beliefs. We can start to look and see, okay, do I keep running up against the same kind of emotion in my life? Am I constantly angry and mad at the world? Or do I feel really depressed and shut down a lot of the time? Or do I feel sad a lot? These are not bad emotions. I really want to emphasize that. No emotion is bad. Emotions, in fact, are neutral, believe it or not. And if we find ourselves kind of locked into an emotional pattern, could be information there for us and can be another reason that we are resisting change. Also, again, coming back to fear. Things seeming like they're going to, I always say kill us, even though that's a really dramatic thing. There's a part of our brain, a part of our nervous system that might actually believe that. And so that's where parts work, inner child work is also really supportive with these kinds of things. If we're trying to create change and we just keep getting we can't seem to make the change. The other thing is we like instant gratification. I mean, come on. Who doesn't like, I want something I ordered on Amazon or Uber Eats and here it comes, right? We want to feel good and we want to feel good now. We want to look good and we want to look good now. It's kind of, what we have going on as a society. And so a lot of the changes that we might want to make for ourselves to put us in a place where we're living more in harmony with ourselves, with others, living healthy, living in a place that feels in integrity and feels in alignment. That change process can be uncomfortable. There's effort that goes into when we start creating changes, when we start resisting cravings, when we start to create some discipline and some structure, right? Especially if it's new. Our neural pathways in the brain are just, used to being a certain way. When we start to go against that and create a new one, there's some resistance that happens, and there's not always that instant dopamine hit. There's not that instant gratification. And that being said, we've all done things that we didn't feel like doing, that we knew maybe in the short term wasn't going to get us that, I feel on top of the world. But if we stayed consistent with us, it was bringing us to a better place, or bringing us to where we want to go, or what's best for our future self, what's best for our family. So I hope that's making sense. Also, this one's huge, and I coach on this all the time, is our identity. If I'm trying to make change and I'm trying to, let's say, we'll use weight loss, right? I'm trying to lose weight, for example, and I can't lose weight. But my identity, also my belief system, is that I'm a fat girl. That's like really how I see myself. That's what I think of myself. It's going to influence my actions. The same thing goes to when I was Miss Party Girl, right? When I was going out every weekend and living a reckless life, I saw myself as the life of the party. I don't know if I was really the life of the party, but in my drunken state, I sure thought I was. And that was my identity. So when I started exploring who am I without alcohol, for example, who am I if I'm not going out and having a great time every weekend, it required a self-perception shift. So for example, if you're somebody who sees yourself as, I'm the one everybody counts on. I'm the one that everybody can turn to at all times. I am reliable. Again, those are nice qualities, right? And what's the cost of that? If we're somebody who never really takes the time out to do something for ourselves, or we're running ourselves on E to the point that we're not sleeping well, we're having aches and pains, we don't even know who we are anymore. Our identity is so caught up in caregiving that we don't even know our own needs. We're overextended, we're burned out, those kinds of things. But we can see ourselves from this place of, I'm the caregiver, I've got to keep it all together. And sometimes our identities are no longer working for us. So as you are in this process of creating change in your life, who is it that you're becoming, and seeing yourself as that person, that identity of, okay, I am the person that gets up in the morning and exercises. I am the person that feels totally fine if it's a no for me. I can't do it. When I can be there for you, I definitely will. But when I can't, I can't. And of course, I know that I have lots of moms who follow me. So I just want to say that when it comes to your children, there are things that you're going to not feel like doing, that you are not, that you're going to do, right? Even though you don't feel like it, even though you're overextended. And I want to really invite you to look at, is the identity that I have of myself right now, is it in alignment with what I want in my life? And if it's not, that's a really great place to start to put your attention, right? A lot of times we want to be like, we'll go back to healthy living because that's an easy reference for all of us. Like, we want to eat healthy, we want to be active, we want to look good, we want to feel good. And yes, all of these things outside of us are really instrumental in that change. And the real work is like in the mirror, that deep inner work. There's no way around it, because we can do all these things out here and they will only get us so far. And of course, there's a bigger picture to that too. But that's a whole other topic, right? Hormones, blood work, toxins, the list goes on and on. But again, doing the inner work is also a huge part of whatever changes we want to make in our life. If I see myself as somebody who always procrastinates, I never follow through, I don't take care of myself, I'm going to continue to live into that image of myself, right? Because that's who I am. These are the things that I do. So when we want to start making a positive change in our life, it's really starting to embody, starting to be that version of you that does those things, because it's accessible. The next thing is just feeling overwhelmed. If we're trying to create so many changes, I know when I first started off on my journey about 12 years ago, this was huge for me, that I wanted to change absolutely everything and everything overnight. Hear me out here. You don't need fixed. You don't need to make any changes if you don't want to. It's your choice. And if we try to make so many changes at once, we get overwhelmed and overloaded. Our brain cannot take it. Our body, our nervous system cannot take it. So the power of tiny habits, the power of meeting yourself where you are and really validating that where you are, even if it's not where you want to be, finding safety and comfort in that. Because what also can happen is we get to whatever that destination is, right? We're always working, there's that gap. We're always working towards something. We get to something. If we haven't done the inner work, if we haven't, healed our relationship with ourselves, we get to there, wherever there is, that we think is like the happy place, the place that we always wanted to be. We get there and then we're not happy. We're not satisfied. Maybe we have the relationship, or we have the body, or we have the money. Great, these outside things, but deep inside, it's still like we're still looking. There's still that big void. So again, that's why that inner work is just so instrumental. And our mind cannot really allow for way too many changes at once. So setting ourselves up for success and dialing it back and choosing one thing that you believe that you can start to do. So I want to just leave you with that. Who do you tell yourself that you are? How do you see yourself? That's a great place to start. And if that self-concept, if that image of yourself is not representative of all of you, right? We have these parts of us that do procrastinate, the parts of us that don't care, the parts of us that whatever, right? The shadow. We don't want to get rid of that. But if this self-concept, who you on a regular daily basis, who you say you are, your relationship with yourself, if that's not one that feels like it's self-serving, if that doesn't feel like it's a true representation of who you are on a soul level, who you are in all of your greatness, I'm going to encourage you to spend some time, some energy there to really get down into the root of that, explore what that's all about for you, and to really put your energy into creating it and connecting with that identity of yourself that does do the things that you want to do in life, whether that's travel, whether that's have the love of your life, whether that's be in best shape of your life, whether that's just to get out of here and go to the grocery store and not feel like it's the hardest thing in the world to do. Maybe you want to be able to get in your car, go to the store, go to a friend's house, and it not feel like the end of the world to you. And so I really want to encourage you to know that that's possible for you, really is possible for you, even though there's a part of you that's like, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. There are those parts of us, but there's also the part of you that can step into the person who does those things that you want to do and is the person that you know you are at a soul level. So I'll leave you with that. Love to hear from you, questions, comments, and I will talk to you soon.